If your results are less than what you'd like in life, your standards are low. So if you're not where you want to be, it has 100% everything to do with your standards.
Ryan, thanks so much for jumping on here with us today.
It's great to be with you today. Thanks for having me. There are people that are struggling in different areas of their life, whether it's health, whether it's relationships, whether it's finance. And the truth of the matter is, with some exception, but generally not, it has 100% to do with your standards. And when you raise your standards, when you make a decision and say, no more, enough, I'm done, I'm in, I'm all in. When you make that decision to raise your standards, you instantly raise the quality of your life. See, when you're good, you don't get good results, you get poor results, right? So, and then if you have excellence as a standard, which is a giant leap, like if you have excellence as a standard, you'd think that you would get excellence, but no, if you have excellence as a standard, you only get good results. I wanted to be skilled. I had a standard to be outstanding. And because that was my standard, I got excellence as a result. Some characteristics of what makes that outcome a reality are discipline and skill. A lot of us think that motivation is important, and they're all important. And, you know, when I do events, I always ask the audience, you know, we need to be motivated and we need to be skilled. And no matter what it is that we do in life, you know, both of those are important. Which is more important? And profoundly, everybody says motivation. And I was motivated when I got into the business, but I struggled for 5 years. So it wasn't because I wasn't motivated. It was because I didn't have the skills. So skill is more important than motivation. And if you don't still believe me or you're still skeptical, let's imagine that you have a bomb underneath your chair right now. You're motivated to save your family. Do you pull the red wire, the yellow wire, the blue wire, the green wire? Pull the wrong wire and you're dead. You're motivated, but how valuable would it be to know this, have the skill to know which wire to pull? So the one thing, if I had to pick one, there's a lot. We could talk for days, but I would say develop your skill. So how do you do that? You create habits and rituals, and you have a schedule. So every day I used to wake up and role play with myself. Once a week, I would go into my conference room and I would whiteboard all the objections that I've heard, and I'd write out what is my knee-jerk reaction. And because that's how we usually do it, right? We go on a listing appointment, seller says something, and we go, and something falls out of our mouth. So I would actually write it out and go, whew, that didn't sound so good. What could I have done differently? And I rewrote all of those dialogues. And then I'd practice them so that they're automatic. And if a seller asks me to cut my commission, it's boom, I know what to do. It's like tying my shoes. It's like breathing. It's unconscious competence. All right, so the 4 levels of learning. There's 4. When we enter something new for the very first time, could be real estate as a profession, could be a mortgage originator, could be an appraiser, could be you want to learn how to play guitar, you want to learn a foreign language, you want to learn to throw a football, anything that you're trying to learn for the first time, you enter at level 1, unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. So we're playing a guitar. It's really hard. You're thinking about it. Or we're trying to speak a new language or throw a football. Anything you enter for the first time, you enter in at unconscious incompetence. And then what happens is in time, you start to learn all the shit you didn't know. Oh, I need to know. So in football, elbow up, football out, stance, grip, eyes down the field, eyes up, not down. Like you start to recognize what your mistakes are, what you don't know. In real estate, oh my God, we have to put this listing into the MLS. You didn't even know that when you get into real estate. Or there's an appraisal that has to happen, and that needs to all come into a line, or you're not going to get the clear to close, and you didn't know that. So in time, you start to learn the things that you don't know. And that level 2 is called conscious incompetence. We know what we don't know. Then we want to get to level 3. Level 3 is conscious competence. We know all that we need to know, but we don't yet know it. We're conscious about it. So my son's thinking about, okay, I got to keep my elbow up. But when you're doing that in a game, it's detrimental. Hey, the seller's at some point going to ask you to reduce your commission. And if you're at the listing appointment and that happens and you're in your head, you're dead. If you're thinking about it, you're dead. So conscious competence is level 3. But we have to progress to all 3 levels. And level 4 is the skill level, mastery, unconscious competence. And we all have it, which means we can all acquire more of it. We ride our bikes, we tie our shoes, we get dressed in the morning. Those are all skills we've mastered. And here's the great news. You can master any skill you want. Any skill you want. You want to learn how to play a guitar? You can learn it. You want to learn how to play the piano? You can learn it. Imagine that we had a 5-gallon pail in front of us. I bring out a satchel of rocks. They're the size of my fist, but the size of a softball. And I go, Justin, and anybody watching, take those rocks out and put them in the pail until you can't get any more in. So now they're piled up. And every time you pile them up, like they're piled, but they're falling over. So we visually see the pail is full. Then I bring out a bag of gravel. And I go, can you get any of the gravel into that bucket? And you go, oh, yeah, I could. And we sift and sort and shake the bucket, and the gravel falls through the voids. Can you visualize that happening?
I can.
Okay. Then I bring some fine sand, and I go, can you pour that sand in to get through the voids of the gravel? So we see that the bucket's getting heavier and heavier. And I go, when the bucket's full, tell me it's full. And then I bring out a canteen of water, and you pour the water on, and everything settles. And now the water is clearly atop the bucket, and you can't get any other contents in. So that's your schedule, the 5-gallon bucket. What if you put the water in first? How would you get the other contents in that bucket? It'd be impossible. So you need to put the big rocks in your schedule first. So you take a blank schedule and you go, I'm going to work on lead generation 3 times a week, 1 hour each time. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to put in my calendar lead generation. I'm going to do 3 sessions of calling for 2 hours, 3 times a week. So now we've got 9 hours of our week scheduled. I'm going to put family time in my calendar. I'm going to put appointments in my calendar. So all of the things that are big rocks, personal development, role playing, practicing my scripts, jumping on a REDX training, all of that goes in my calendar. And for most of us, my calendared working on the business big rocks is about 10 to 12 hours a week. The rest of the stuff is filler, right? It's processing a listing, taking a home inspector's call. But you know what happens in real estate? And we just are so reactive as a society. We're in the middle of this educational session that we carved out time for. And without question, there are people on their phones checking their emails because their email just went off. And we're reacting to a pebble. That email is not going to change your life, but perhaps a training session will change your life. Identify those things that are dollar producing activity and don't deviate from them.